Welcome to Workforce 2.0. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Mandy Bishop. She is the program manager for Smart Columbus, and we have worked in the past couple of months on the Future of Work report, looking at how we can leverage the work that Smart Columbus has done to help enhance our workforce here in Central Ohio. Welcome, Mandy. We're happy to have you.
Thanks, Lisa. I'm happy to be here.
Great. So the first thing I want to ask you, for those who aren't familiar, what can you tell me about Smart Columbus?
Sure. So just a little context. The City of Columbus was chosen as the U.S. Department of Transportation Smart City Challenge winner in the summer of 2016. We were one of 78 cities that competed to win the challenge and $50 million, and we won. We won $40 million from the U.S. Department of Transportation, and then we won another $10 million from the Paul G. Allen Foundation that study. In this challenge, the U.S. Department of Transportation encouraged cities to put forward their best and most creative ideas for innovatively addressing the data and transportation challenges we were facing in our city. We are focused on an equity agenda, and both climate action and connecting people to more transportation opportunities are core tenets of delivering on that agenda. And so officially, Smart Columbus is an informal public-private partnership between the City of Columbus and the Columbus Partnership. The city leads the grant delivery while the Columbus Partnership amplifies and leverages our work to the benefit of the region and state. We focus on advancement of mobility options as well as workforce and economic development. And recently, when I presented to AAA's Technology Take the Wheel series, Doug McCullough from the city of Dublin reminded me that Smart Columbus has become so much more, and it's more than just Columbus. It's really our regional initiative working to address challenges by leveraging technology solutions.
That's fantastic. So what would you say careers in automation and technology have definitely increased here in Columbus throughout recent years? In fact, I would venture to say we really have quite a sector going already in IT and other technology. But how do you feel our labor market will look in the next 5 to 10 years in this particular sector?
Sure. And when you talk about automation and technology, it's always an interesting conversation when you place it in context of the labor market. Automation and technology integration has been accelerated by the pandemic. If you look at concepts like McDonald's and Chipotle in Europe, they're going full virtual, so no dine-in, so no cashier to greet you. It's just very different. And the city of Columbus and hundreds of thousands of businesses across the country have worked to move entire industries online. So with respect to automation, it's often viewed as a way to cut jobs and cut labor force. And industries using automation can often displace workers, which is a fact we must be super aware of. However, I believe that automation and technology will drive more workers to choose careers in the industries. And I believe the labor market will present opportunities for non-degreed professionals in the areas of automation and technology. And I'll give the example. I don't know, about 20 years ago, we were seeing demand. I'm a civil engineer by trade, so heavy highway and bridges. We were seeing a demand for welders that could operate complex equipment capable of producing high strength welds. They still needed to understand welding, but the actual welding was shifting to a machine. So employers were leaving jobs unfilled while they upskilled welders or brought new workers to the field that could operate the machinery. Ultimately, I think this is what we're a similar example to what we're facing. We're going to have a labor market in demand of skilled labor in the areas of software development, autonomous and connected vehicle operations, data analytics, electrification, healthcare, think telehealth, and how all of us are now seeing our doctors online, and financial services. We're seeing that with more pay apps and banking opportunities in the industry.
So, wow. So you know that we have labored over our Future of Smart Work report. And of course, we partnered with the United Way of Central Ohio, as well as Smart Columbus and the Workforce Board. And Ohio State University provided the research. Why did you think it was important for us to do a study like this?
Well, you teed me up perfectly. So for all the reasons I just mentioned above, As the market demands more workers for these market segments like intelligent transportation, the Internet of Things, electrification, both electric cars and grid modernization, and then again, healthcare and financial services, workforce development leaders like yourself are going to have to revamp our system to meet that demand. It is important to us it was really important for us to memorialize the trends that we were seeing, specifically the vulnerable jobs, and really identify those gaps in our workforce development training system. And this study has done that. And now we have that playbook to move forward that both shows the opportunities and the gaps to bring people to those opportunities.
And that's really what's important, right, as we did this work. And so what do you think we're going to need to do to make sure we're leveraging the technology that's come about from Smart Columbus in those disadvantaged neighborhoods we've got in the region, in the city, but also in the region?
Yeah, that is a great question. At Smart Columbus, we've really focused on solving resident challenges by using technology. Mayor Ginther and everybody around him is like, we're not just going to use tech for tech's sake. We to help our residents in whatever fashion they need to be helped. For example, our Linden Leap, our self-driving autonomous shuttle, was open to vehicle passenger service, and it established a connection from one of CODA's busiest transit routes, the CMAX line, to St. Stephen's. And St. Stephen's Community House is a great resource. It has a food pantry, healthcare services, childcare, and job services. And once the pandemic hit, we assessed we had to pivot and not do that anymore because we couldn't carry passengers and maintain that safe social distancing. Right. And so we assessed the needs of the community, and we ended up pivoting to food box delivery because there's a housing development, Rosewind, along our autonomous vehicle route. So we decided to stop watching people lug 40-pound boxes, a half a mile, and help bring the food to them. And we've been delivering about 7 or 8% of the overall food boxes to residents in Rosewind during the pandemic.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. What a great use of that technology.
Yeah. And another disparity that you and I have had a lot of conversation about that we've seen since the pandemic hit is a lack of access to broadband in our underserved communities. And I know there are a number of people focused on improving access to broadband for our underserved urban and rural communities. I'm seeing collaboration among the public and private sectors like never before. We're really working to advance not only the installation of the broadband, lines, but really bringing a sustained effort and plan to help ensure that it's affordable so that we can create that equitable access. Imagine if you and I had to work from home, but we didn't have access to internet. And that's right. A lot of communities are facing right now.
Absolutely. I think we learned during this pandemic that, I think before the pandemic, right, we all knew that we needed additional broadband, but man, when this pandemic hit, it like hit everybody like a ton of bricks. If they weren't sure about it, now we know for sure how important it is.
Absolutely.
And yeah, actually, we wouldn't be able to do this interview if you and I hadn't access to the
that is correct.
Internet, right? During this pandemic, we'd be waiting. So it's really important. One of the things I am really interested in, especially in the vehicles that you were using to connect people to the CMAX route, something that's so important for us in a debate in workforce all the time is, do you make people move out of the city or out of their neighborhoods to where the jobs are, or do you improve the transportation system so they can live wherever they want and get to wherever those job centers are, depending on what they want to work in? And I'm curious as to, now that we have this, are we able to expand it at some point in the future?
So with respect to the autonomous vehicle and actually providing passenger service, that role and responsibility is definitely with Central Ohio Transit Authority. We're definitely a demonstration project. And so CODA is definitely looking at all options on the table and looking to connect people to the job centers that exist. And from a land use perspective, the city of Columbus is undertaking an effort to look at how our zoning policies and land use planning really impact where we put our jobs versus where we put our residents, and looking at opportunities to bring them together. So it's a combination of both. And will there be opportunities for more autonomous vehicle deployments? I'm certain there will be, but ultimately those will likely be led by our transit authority.
Which makes total sense, right?
It does.
So what's on the horizon then for Smart Columbus? Where do you think you'll be going as the grants are winding down, I believe, right?
So you're right. We are still finishing our work for the U.S. Department of Transportation, and that's going to wrap up at the end of May of next year. So May 2021. And we definitely hope to work with the Workforce Development Board to advance the recommendations, specifically responding real time, training for the future, intervening early with our populations, accelerating access to these in-demand occupations. And there's a lot. And so that's one aspect. And there's also a lot of momentum to continue the work of Smart Columbus and add new pillars like tackling the digital divide to the portfolio. I can't tell you a whole lot about it, but I want you to stay tuned. And there's definitely going to be more conversation and more announcements in Q1, Q2 of 2021 as we look to sustain Smart Columbus and continue the platform and the collaborative spirit that's really not just been built by Smart Columbus, but definitely advanced.
Well, I mean, this has really given the region so many opportunities that we wouldn't have had, I think, if we would not have been successful. So kudos to you and to everybody who's worked on that, because it's been an undertaking. I'm sure you know more about that than I do.
You know what, Lisa, it's a big team. And again, Doug McCullough, his words really stuck with me about how it's more than just Columbus, it's our region, and it's more than just the city and the partnership. It's all our partners like yourself, like the city of Dublin, like United Way, that really have helped us deliver this program.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more. As part of the report, we had some focus groups with people in those communities that we hoped to leverage, right, this technology and leverage it with them to help them access jobs and education and those things. And those recommendations are going to take a lot of work on our part to advocate for. When you look at those and you think about what our residents said, the ones that we interviewed, there was a lot of angst, right?
Yeah.
About the gap in their knowledge and access now, let alone jumping to the future where we know we're going to rely on this technology so much more. What do you think of those recommendations? Where should we focus first? What's your opinion?
Well, nothing like being put on the spot. No. I honestly, I think we really have to, again, create a coalition to deliver these. It's a tall order for one single organization to advance all of this work on their own. And so what we've learned with Smart Columbus, again, building that coalition, leveraging your partner's strengths and identifying roles and responsibilities and really identifying what people do well can really help you advance common goals, align the skill sets, and then hopefully create a stronger and quicker impact. I would say one of the things that, and I'll charge you, Lisa, the Workforce Development Board and our partners are going to have to do is look at one or two of these recommendations and say, okay, where can we do this quickly and where can we have a high impact? Mm-hmm. And if we do that, then we're going to create the most benefit for residents in our region and our county and really elevate not just the workforce conversation, but the workforce action.
Mm-hmm. You did a fantastic job for putting you on the spot. I agree. Yeah, is to figure out what we can move quickly. And of course, I think this pandemic will come to an end. We all hope it does. And then we will be in I think, an even better position to start moving on some of those as a group. You're right, because the board can't do it on our own. And in fact, we actually can't do it. It's really leveraging our partners, our training and education partners, our community, other nonprofit partners, our government partners, right? Mm-hmm. But all of us having a commitment, though, to actually move these recommendations forward. And I know the board is very committed to that. Yes. In fact, we just completed our strategic plan. And we folded those recommendations right in, and they're going to be tracked by my board at every board meeting. So, so we are definitely wanting to move those forward. So,
Challenge accepted.
yeah. I think one of the things, one of the areas where we really need to push is in our government partners, our economic development professionals, as they look to, you talked about the land use plan and, how we develop where we locate jobs, where jobs locate in the region, which takes, cooperation amongst our suburbs and the counties that surround us. I think we need to educate our economic development professionals on the needs of workforce, because they can't be successful unless we have a workforce that has the right skills. And I think our report speaks to that, but we probably need to move it education-wise with our economic development professionals. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and my area of expertise is typically project delivery, and workforce is not new, but newer. And I think economic development professionals are going to have to connect at a deeper level than they've ever done before to really understand the nuances of what a developer means in specific industries. I think they're going to have to connect with the people that are doing the hiring and realizing the gaps in their workforce so that they can really understand the specific skills and nuances of the person that they're going to need. And that's going to create that opportunity for more workers to get connected to jobs more quickly. And then ultimately with economic development and workforce professionals, I think you as a workforce development leader are going to have to work with them to identify and share the overall trends, but then also identify opportunities in organizations to get those certifications that they need and help make them accessible to the folks that need the jobs right now.
Yeah, I think what's most important for us, right, is we know that the state is not growing in population. Central Ohio has been blessed, but still there are more jobs than there are people, actually. And so we can't really afford to let anybody fall behind and not have the right skills in order for us to continue to grow. And I think that's, we both need to be pushing that message, right, with our economic development and our government officials. So.
Absolutely. And I think the pride that goes with having a job and contributing, to society is just immeasurable in terms of your overall physical and mental well-being. And people want to support themselves and they want to earn a good living and take care of their families, and closing those gaps are key to allowing that to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always end my interviews with a question that I'm going to ask you.
Uh-oh.
Here you are in a very successful career. If you were looking, if you had the opportunity to go back to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell yourself about your career choices and what you were planning when you were 18?
I would ask my 18-year-old self whether or not I want to work to live and I just do my 9 to 5 and go home, or am I going to, is work going to be my identity in my life? And knowing what I know now, that I am kind of who my identity is very much affiliated with my work. I probably, I wouldn't say I would have chosen a different career, but I would have thought it through a little bit more. Because my civil engineering degree has afforded me some amazing opportunities to build significant infrastructure in Central Ohio cities, deliver the Smart Columbus program, be part of the City of Columbus and the Mayor's Equity Agenda, which I'm very much proud to be a part of. But asking yourself to, I really look at that, I think can help you decide how you're going to, what career path it's going to take you down. I see a lot of people go to school and get degrees, and then they go do the job they got the degree in, and then they don't want to do that job.
Right.
because you're sitting all day and they didn't think about that aspect of it. And they're a super active person and they would have been better maybe doing a skilled trade that keeps them busy around a lot. The other thing I would tell my 18-year-old self is don't be afraid. Take risk. I was a little bit of a homebody. I mean, I only went, 85 miles from my hometown to college to Ohio State. I was fearful of moving out of state and trying something new. What I think the pandemic has taught all of us is don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to try something new. And if that's geographic location or look at a job that is super adventurous, just put yourself out there and it's going to bring you opportunities tenfold down the road. Great question.
Yeah, and a great answer. I bet you could not have foreseen where this would take you and that you'd be involved in projects like this, right? As an engineer, right?
No, absolutely not. And this is something I'll share with you. I almost quit the industry early in my career because I couldn't find the right type of engineering for me. I was creating plans every day, and that seemed very, very mundane for me. It just wasn't my thing. And then I found traffic engineering, and it was bigger picture. It was more planning oriented. I got involved in the safety culture of transportation. So I found my niche. And I challenge people that if they're in a career they don't love, look if they can take the skill sets that they do and do something else. If I hadn't found traffic engineering, it was a little bit luck. Probably wouldn't be sitting having this conversation with you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's great advice. And for hopefully for some of our younger people who are starting in their career, they'll hear you say that because you can't be myopic, right? You get to where you are and you think that's all there is. And it's amazing when you're open to opportunities where they're going to lead you in places you never would have dreamed of.
Yep.
And of course, this whole technology thing, it's all about things we never would have dreamed of, right? So.
It is. And I'm seeing, more technology integrated into engineering where you think it's just roads and bridges, but think about our traffic signal systems and how they're going to have to talk to vehicles. We as traffic engineers and transportation engineers are experiencing a revolution, and we have to learn new technology and evolve with it.
Absolutely. So I want to thank you so much, Mandy, for joining us today. I think we've had a great conversation. I encourage anybody who watches this to take a look at our Future of Smart Work report and take a look at our recommendations because we're coming after you if you're mentioned in those recommendations for sure to help get them done. So thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Lisa. I appreciate it.